What is going on, everybody? I am back with another video, and as promised, I am doing an overview, review, look at my experiences on the SOG Powerlock. Now, this is a very interesting multi-tool, and as you can see, it's a full-size multi-tool. Now, originally, you guys may have seen my video on the Victorinox Swiss Spirit. The Swiss Spirit was essentially the reigning champion in my everyday carry in terms of having a multi-tool handy when you just want to have a tool, a few tools. Now the Swiss Spirit definitely has a lot more tools than the Powerlock, but I decided to carry this Powerlock for 7 months. I looked at my because I ordered this from Amazon and had a decent deal on it. So I had it since I want to say last November. So it's been about 7 months worth of carry every single day. I actually just put this one aside, didn't even bother with it, to see how I could live with the Powerlock. So here are my experiences, but before I get into that, let's go over some of the tools and everything like that. So obviously, right off the bat, you can see there's this massive pair of needle nose pliers, and we'll get more into the details of how useful these pliers are. You got wire crimpers, and you got these little doors that actually you can just take right off. There we go, and you just pop right on again when you feel like you need them again. There's a few tools on each side. Just pop them all out. Well, that's the one thing I'll just say right off the bat is between the Swiss Spirit is that the tools don't come out individually. They just come out. So you're basically gonna have to get the little clumping thing going on, take them all out, and then choose which one you want, fold the rest back in the handle, and away you go. Bit of a slower process, but not that big of a deal. There's a little lanyard, like literally tiny lanyard right there. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know, I don't trust putting anything through there, but it's not like I would put a lanyard on this thing anyways. So anyways, on this side we got a partially serrated knife. It is a chisel ground, so it's only grounded on one side. We got a flathead screwdriver, bottle opener. This is a shroud cutter. The other version, I don't remember what it comes with, but they have like different versions of the Powerlock, at least 4 I think, and also in like a stainless or a uncoated steel, and then a blacked out oxide version. This is probably the most useful thing right here, or one of the useful things right here, which is the 1/4 inch driver, which I'll get into a little bit later. On the other side, again, another pop-up door. You get all your tools out and you can separate them. You got a saw, you got a very nice chisel, which I've actually managed to worn down. I got to sharpen it again. A larger flathead screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver, pretty much standard size. You got a little eyeglass screwdriver here, and then a can opener as well. This is a very sharp can opener. So, and all the tools lock into place with this little push lock. So you push it down, and you can see it disengages, and it notches into the tools here. So none of your tools actually are going to be are going to fold back on you once it locks into place. Here, let me get that in there. So you see it goes out, and then snap, and you're, for the most part, you're pretty okay. But then you got this little cover that folds down anyways. So let's just say your tools happen to fold on you. It's going to be against this cover, and of course, most definitely you're going to have it folded closed, because I can't really foresee you using it like this unless you really need this extra space. But this is that's the one thing about having a configuration like this, as opposed to having a configuration like this, where if the tool does fold on you, there's really nothing in the way or stopping it from folding onto your fingers. So, but we'll discuss that a little bit later as well. So this is the saw I have out here. Let's go put this back in. Okay, so that is a quick overview of all the tools. I have used this consistently for 7 months, and it is very useful. So let's go and talk about my experiences with it. So first and foremost, let's talk about the pliers, since this is essentially a bunch of tools based around pliers. All right, and for this part of it, I will take out the Swiss Spirit as comparison. Now, let me get this in here. So in terms of the pliers, we have a very, very fine needle nose pliers, and that's pretty much my one complaint about the Swiss Spirit is that while it is considered a needle nose plier, it doesn't get as needle nosy as I really want it to. I mean, these SOG Powerlock pliers are very, very fine tipped, and I really like that a lot. Also, you're able to get larger head or get this larger screw heads into the pliers themselves without having to open the tool too much, right? Now the Swiss Spirit opens that much, whereas the SOG Powerlock can open pretty wide. In fact, you can just get the handles in almost a straight up, you know, opening like that, and this is as wide as the pliers will go. I will say that it's very oops, wrong way. It's very weird to know that these don't, because the handles don't lock. Lock meaning that, like, you know, I know exactly where the pliers on the Spirit stops. It stops right there. On the SOG, however, it just, you know, it's just one continuously smooth motion, and that's the beauty of this multi-tool, is that you can't just take it out and you can't just flip it around like a ballast song almost, you know, and then when you're done with it, you just, you know, flip it closed. I have found that this is very sharp, by the way. So if you happen to be, you know, using it and you're actually like gripping it down here, this will kind of cut into the palm of your hand if you're holding it too far. Now, in terms of size, this is a full-size multi-tool as compared to, for example, the Leatherman Surge. It's actually even longer than the Leatherman Surge. I don't have a wave with me because I did sell my wave in lieu of the Surge, because this one is in my survival kit, and the SOG will be going into my survival kit, and I'll let you know why in a second here. But anyways, back to the pliers. The plier heads are extremely well done, and with the compound grip technology, I find I use these pliers quite a bit for cutting a lot of things. One day I was out in the yard and I didn't even have pruners with me, and I was supposed to cut down a few branches that are probably about like this thick, maybe like a 1/4 of an inch thick to a 1/2 inch thick. This thing cut right there with no problems. I mean, it is just insane, you know, non-replaceable, but I just clamped on it, opened as wide as I can, forced the branch in there, and went snap, and it just came right off. It was no effort involved. Now, had I tried to do that with the either the Surge or, excuse me, even the Swiss Spirit, I probably wouldn't have had such a great time with it. So the pliers are definitely like really, really useful. Now, with that being said, I think that's seriously like about the main useful thing on this whole tool. The rest of the tools are just almost any other average tool. The saw, while it cuts just fine, it's really not as good as the Leatherman saw. I don't have an explanation why. And I mean, the Leatherman, for some reason, in my experience, the Leathermans make like excellent saws on their multi-tools. It's even better than the Swiss Spirit. So the rest of these are just average tools that you'll get like in any other multi-tool. Like I said, the chisel was just awesome. It's nice and thick, really sharp. But I managed to wear down the tip of it already, trying to scrape paint off, or old paint off of a stair step. It came in really useful, but for the most part, it's just very generic stuff in here. Now, in terms of these little fiddly doors, so you notice how every time I take a tool out and put it away, I have to open these doors are served to create a little bit more rounder handle for you to use. Excuse me. Whoa, excuse me. So if you actually remove the doors, I actually had tried it without the doors on there, or these little covers, whatever. It actually cuts into your hands pretty bad. I don't know, it's because of my hand size. I have medium-sized hands. Here you can see it in my hands here. It's quite a large multi-tool as opposed to a smaller Swiss Spirit here. And here's the Surge in my hands here. So it is definitely not a small tool. In fact, it is the tallest tool on this table. Here's a Gerber Flik for comparison. It's quite a big, beefy tool. So, but at the same time, what I really do like is the fact that if you are using something that requires a little bit more oomph, you know, for example, the blade, if I can remember to add there, you have a lot of handle real estate to hold on to. You know, if you get like a smaller, let's see if I can find the blade on this thing. Oop, that's not it. If you use a smaller multi-tool, I mean, yes, you know, it's decently comfortable, but you can tell that the I have a little bit more grip to use with on the oops, I'm holding it the wrong way, with the SOG Powerlock. Now, the other thing I will say too is, even wearing gloves, even though these are really uncomfortable to use barehanded, if I'm wearing gloves, my pinky actually just naturally falls into this little notch here. It's not really, I'm sure, intended for that, but it's quite useful because I can just kind of lock my fingers in, because for the most part this is a very shiny handle and it's a very slippery handle, and most of these are. I mean, the Flik has like a somewhat better traction on this handle, but this does not. It's rather slippery, and you know, so if you've got to be wearing some type of gloves, you're going to be doing a little harder work with it. But it is a large handle, so it's very easy to grab onto and very nice to hold on to like this. Whereas with the Spirit, the handle naturally bows outward, and if you're using, let's just say the saw, you know, it creates a little bit of you know, ergonomics on there, but at the same time your hand just wants to slide up and down on this thing, just because it isn't exactly traction oriented. So now, how to live with this thing on a daily basis. Well, first of all, I'll say opening these doors constantly, while it's not a huge deal, it is annoying. That's why I think I would seriously just keep on getting MTs that actually have outside tools. I mean, all the tools are on the outside, and that's the beauty of these. Now with the Leatherman, it's kind of like a different world, where you got like some tools on the inside of the handle, which requires you to open the tool up to get to them, and then you got your main like blades and saws and whatever are all on the outside, which is nice because, you know, for the most part, if you're going to pull it out, you're probably going to be using a blade most of the time, at least in my experience, right? So it's kind of nice to have like a locking blade on there. For the Swiss Spirit, same deal. Everything, but the Swiss Spirit is different. Everything is on the outside except for the pliers and the wire cutters, right? So for me to actually, you know, do this little deal, it's like, oh, I need a knife, and go in here, they're like, oh, it's on that side. Oh no, it's on this side. You know, that's just really kind of annoying. So I guess in short, this has been an interesting multi-tool to live with for 7 months. I don't think it's going to stay in my pockets, because the biggest thing here is literally the weight of this thing. It just easily rivals the Surge in terms of weight. There's nowhere as felt as the Swiss tool, or I'm sorry, the Swiss Spirit. I haven't had a chance to handle a Swiss tool yet, but the Swiss Spirit is just, you know, lightweight compared to any of these other ones. The Flik is okay. It's pretty heavy as well, and it's very unwieldy to use and hold, and the pliers and everything. The Swiss Spirit is still the easy winner out of all of these, but in terms of a full-size multi-tool, if I had to choose, like for example, between these two right here, I think I would still choose the SOG. Leatherman makes great products, don't get me wrong, but I find that the compound leverage on the SOG is just much more useful for my daily carry, in terms of when I need to cut into something and I don't have like pruners or even like scissors for some certain applications, and also out of these four, this is easier the nicest needle nose out of all of these right now. Even the Leatherman doesn't have as nice needle nose pliers that the Powerlock does. It does have a wider opening to grip onto larger screws, but at the same time, if you look at the opening of the Surge, it only opens that much, whereas the SOG, you can get to a much larger opening. I can easily grip on anything. If I need to, I can always two-hand the handle, and you just get the initial grip on there first, and then just two-hand it close, or you know, I get it all around what I need to cut, and then you know, snap it closed. So I mean, it's basically like a two-handed pruner. I can actually just even use this like a two-handed pruner in, you know, if I needed to, if I didn't have the proper tools. This really outshines every other plier head on the table right now that I have. Ease of accessibility, that's like the biggest issue for me for the Powerlock, which is, you know, some people complain about it, and it is an issue for some people online. Obviously, nobody's really in a hurry to get to a, you know, a chisel or a screwdriver. I'm sure of it, you know. But at the same time, it is kind of nice to have some tools on the outside. You know, and that's the reason why I didn't go for like the other Gerber products is, excuse me, where you have to actually open and then, you know, grab the tool from the inside, then just snap it shut, and then, you know, you use the tool, whatever. It's just, and then you can't even close the plier head when you have the tool open. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's just, and then when you need to close it, you have to, again, you know, open it, put it back in, and then, you know, shut the tool. So that's why I like the Flik so much, is because most of the tools, or actually all the tools, are on the outside, so you can just easily, you know, easily accessible. But just a really weird, unergonomic handle on this thing. So this Swiss Spirit is still the reigning champ in terms of size, ease of use, and ease of accessibility. The main letdown of the Swiss Spirit is just the plier head for me. The SOG is the easy winner out of all four of these in terms of plier heads. The tools are very generic across the board here. Oh, and the other thing I really do like about it is that that I don't think any of these actually have is the driver on here. You can get I think you can get a adapter to turn this into like a driver, but I do like the fact that the SOG has a built-in 1/4-inch driver. It is extremely useful to have this. See, first of all, it locks in a 90-degree angle, right? But it's very, very unusable in 90 degrees. The reason why is, look at this door. Yeah, so essentially if you're using this in a 90-degree angle, you have to keep the door open, or you have to remove the door altogether. It's very unuseful. I don't know why they did it this way and then have the door, you know, hit. It just doesn't make sense. So you always have to get it out and be straight out, you know, 180, and then you can get a 1/4-inch socket for it, an extension, and it just literally fits in like that. So I can put any kind of bits on there that are 1/4-inch bits. So let's say I needed a Torx, I just drop the Torx in there and I'm good to go. If I need an extension, I drop a 1/4-inch extension in there, and there you go, I'm good to go. So this is extremely useful in like a situation, but it does require you to bring a little bit more tools with you. But, you know, let's face it, for the most part, there's your generic 3 sizes of screwdrivers in here, along with a what's it called again? A Phillips screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver. So you're pretty much prepared, you know, in terms of needing everything you need, everything you want. But I do have a little like kind of a tool kit here that lives in my bag, and it has the Swiss Spirit's tools in here with some bits on there just in case. And then if I need to, if I am carrying this with me, I can utilize this for the 1/4-inch driver that's on the Powerlock. So all in all, very useful tool. I think what is going to happen is, because it's such a heavy, huge tool, this is just going to go into my survival bag, one of my survival bags, and bug out bag. The Surge is definitely going to go into another survival bag, and along with the Flik. This is going back in my pockets. This is the most useful tool I've ever experienced in terms of multi-tool configuration. All-arounder, just the best all-arounder for me, for the Swiss Spirit. Okay, well, again, rambled on long enough. Thank you for joining me and listening to me talk about, you know, these multi-tools. If you got any questions or comments, please leave it below. Aside from that, take care, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.